Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'll call this meeting of the Finance Committee of the Select Board to order at 1 o'clock on the 9th of May. And we have nobody in the room except for Karen Christopherson and myself. And we want to approve the first order of business is to approve the minutes of 11th of January. So I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as written. I don't know if we need to do motions and everything.
I don't know, I'll second because it's just two of us, but just in case.
Okay. So we approve
Okay.
the minutes of,
And do we have to note that it's a correction to the agenda, just that the,
I think that comes
Okay.
next.
Okay.
Oh, yes, no,
because we had the wrong minute.
sorry, yeah,
January
we
11th.
had the wrong minutes. The minutes in the agenda are 28th of March. The actual minutes that we're approving are 11th of January.
And to be
Thanks.
clear, we did not have a meeting on March 28th.
We did not have a meeting on March 28th, so there are no minutes for that.
Correct.
Changes and additions to the agenda. I think we wanted to add to, I guess it's other business, really. It's the continuation of the Finance Committee. And anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay, and that's it.
Yep.
All right, great. So first order of business is reviewing the third quarter financial statements. And we've received a bunch of things. So we have the third quarter balance sheet.
We've got full financials on a cash basis. We're balanced, that's what I sent you those, because I'm not sure why you hadn't gotten them. I actually got them from Patty yesterday.
Yeah.
So I have the balance sheet, the profit and loss, and I have the cash flow statement here somewhere.
Oh, you have
Yeah, that's what I sent last night.
Yeah. And sorry, I haven't had a chance to look at these, the ones you sent last night.
Okay, yeah, because all we had gotten, and then just for the
Yep.
recording, is that we had received the accrual basis, Excel format, balance sheet, and trial balance.
Trial balance, right?
So now we have in front of us. And we also had an accrual balance sheet, but we don't have the full accrual
Right.
financials. But
And
I don't know how helpful the accruals would be, given
yeah.
we haven't done the,
And have
adjusting
you,
entries.
do you have the profit and loss in Excel
I
format?
don't. That was just that was just spitting out the, from QuickBooks. So I think maybe when we get to the policy part, we can say this is what we need when we need it and in what format.
Okay, yeah, okay, good enough. So then I've mostly looked at the balance sheet
Okay,
trends.
okay. And I went through the profit and loss stuff a little bit, so maybe we can go through that and using, I guess, as a comparative matter, the budget worksheet. Because that's where we're tracking
Okay,
a lot of it. Now, it's not
Yeah.
gonna have the treasurer expenses and some stuff, but it
right.
should, we should be at least comfortable that we've got the big stuff. So let me
Okay, let me
pull,
get that.
let me pull the budget up.
Okay, so this is-
Budget spend. So Patty, I think circulated it to the spent to the board on May 1st. You should have an email from May 1st.
Yeah. Wait, that's, okay, here's the spend to date, right?
Yes, and so the way she's done it, though, is you see up in column M, see cell M2 up there, upper right, where it says data as of May 2nd.
Sorry, I'm gonna just open it from a different
Oh,
place.
okay.
So just give me literally 30 seconds. And there it's not, and here it is. Okay. So what am I looking at?
So in the upper right, I think, and I've adjusted mine, but you should have the way this is working. Okay, so she has data as of May 2nd, not as of March 31st.
right.
Right, so that's just current to whatever.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit of a timing difference,
Yes.
but as long as I think we should be okay with that. I mean, at some point, if we want to really do apples and apples, dot to dot, but
Yeah.
that isn't what we had specifically requested, I don't think.
No.
So if we go through, I mean, I did not go kind of dot to dot with stuff. Just given the timing, because I didn't get this until
Yeah.
yesterday. The big items, if you want, maybe we can start with the balance sheet since you've spent time on that.
Oh,
and then-
sure.
And then we can
Yes.
do this because we could put the balance sheet at probably to bed sooner. And then
Yeah.
spend more time if we have to on the income statement.
Yeah. So there's a couple of questions I have.
Okay.
So the balance sheet from March is different from the balance sheet from September, which is the last one that we actually
How,
got.
how,
Well,
how much?
there's different, no, it's like the format.
Oh,
is
the format's
different.
different.
Yeah.
Oh,
So there's a bunch of stuff here.
right, let me pull up September.
And I just don't know why it's different.
Well, let's see, financial reporting, 24 September. For September. So she just gave us Excels. So September, if I look balance sheet, well, we've got two. We've got an accrual. We have trial balance, accrual, trial balance cash. Let's see, balance sheet cash basis, just so that we're sort of looking apples and apples. If I look at September. Yeah, so she's how she does them as a report, okay. So September, if I look at total checking savings. Town clerk account, 570, no change, cemetery restoration.
Right.
So, yeah, so
There,
the
the
whole
only
thing-
real difference is the audit reserve fund, which for some reason
Well,
wasn't appearing. And
well,
now
what's
is.
happened, and some of this, I don't know how much might be this kind of ARPA reconfiguration, and I do still, and so we should probably make sure it gets in the minutes. Patty and I are gonna sit down with Katie Buckley,
Yeah.
and she is going to do, so I think that's massive for the adjusting entries, but what we have, if I look here at the September one, row 18 has general account, 2,560,000 in the general account. Right, that amount in the general account is only 144,000 right now.
Sorry,
the biggest-
you're looking at, sorry, which month are you looking at?
I'm comparing September to March.
September to March, okay, and the 144,
So in March.
oh, here we go.
This 144 corresponds, so it's laid out the same way. The numbers are different.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
think the absolute order is the same.
yeah,
So down here, the total liabilities and equity, let's see, just to be easy, in March was 3 million, and now we're down to 589.
right. But that's okay, because that's all the taxes that are being.
So all the taxes, it's all kinds of stuff, and I think this is helping us as when we get to the priorities. What columns do we want to see? Because I was talking to her yesterday and I said, yes, but usually we have what the normal, and she's just,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
not,
yeah.
nobody's ever asked her.
Right,
So we're gonna want to say, this is what we want to see, and I may have to spend time with her to see if we can get any comparative reporting.
Yeah. seems
But,
okay.
but it should be, there doesn't seem to be, when I was looking at it yesterday over her shoulder,
Mhm.
there's not a great report, like, we found a spot where she could just spit these out. They don't come out as a single connected financial statement. You have to print cash flow, print balance sheet, print profit and loss. We should be able to create a setup that says, you know, Q1, Q2, Q3.
There's no reporting module in this?
I didn't spend an hour.
Okay,
I was just
okay.
looking over her shoulder just to try and get these.
Okay, that's
So-
just what I assumed that's where these came from, but.
Right, there,
apparently
but,
not.
but I did talk to her, like, there should be a way to get comparative statements, and a
Yeah.
normal statement would be year to date, end of period, current quarter,
Right,
boom.
right.
And then if we really fancy, last 12 months change, but that's a whole different thing, we're not gonna change from, but we're not gonna get that.
Right. No, but I agree with you. That's got to be a priority, is that we're able to get these reports that we can, so that we can compare.
And just create create a schedule. And before we put it together, because our schedule may conflict with her, like, election schedule, and there's, town meeting, so there's gonna be times when we're not gonna be able to, but
Yeah.
right now, we're getting everything so late, anything's
The
gonna be.
question is, what is the best way to ensure that this is on her radar? Because what my experience is that I ask her and she says, okay, I'll get to it when I get to it. I'm really busy.
Right.
And then she does get to it,
Mhm.
but sometimes it's.
And then maybe
too
you get a
late
copy
to
or I
be
get
that
a
use-
copy,
or-
because she's
well,
getting it, right? So
yeah.
she's moving through stuff, because she's
Yeah.
got a lot on her plate, and she's like, okay,
Yeah.
Patrick asked for that, Patrick got
Right.
it.
Right.
So I think maybe what we're gonna end up doing, we'll pull together our policy, we'll talk to her as well, and then we'll just create a reporting schedule on a piece of
Yeah,
paper,
okay.
right? So I used
So-
to do that with clients all the time. Here's our reporting schedule, here's our
Yeah,
deadline,
yeah.
here's what we need, and at some point, as we get our arms around it in a better, different way, and, working with Patty in a better, different way, things like, okay, as we're approaching audit time, all this stuff has to be done before an auditor's even contacted, right?
Yeah.
And so everything builds, and we can get, if we want interim adjusting entries done, I think, they need to get done. And then the question, I have to go back and check my notes, is whether Jessica thought those adjusting entries, and she can't do everything, but she can do a lot of the adjusting entries on a quarterly basis rather than a monthly basis,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So maybe we could do that, or maybe semi-annually, but something more than just at the end, because if she's doing all the adjusting entries at the end, Patty's gonna be, she's gonna have a lot of year-end pressure. We're gonna be standing around going,
Yeah, yeah.
so anyway, but those are the sorts of things I think that we can work out in a kind of, what's the policy, what best practice do we want to aspire to? And there's only so much we can do, and part of that, and we'll talk later also, is what does QuickBooks let us do now versus something else?
Right, well, that's another challenge. But what I was talking about here is just the fact that there are some numbers. So for example, we have here, what's this? 2110, 2120.
What row is that? Can you tell?
So, well, unfortunately, I think it's different on mine. On mine, it's row 47.
Well, almost down there, so,
It's
2120, employee retirement,
yeah. So we
okay?
have that for we have that for March, right? And 2121 and 2122.
Oh, but it's
No,
not,
I'm sorry. We have those for September.
but it's not showing up on
We
March.
don't have it for June, and we don't have it for March.
Let me see. Wait, you have it set up.
So I've kind
Oh,
of
did you create this?
I created this
Oh, good for
because
you.
I couldn't.
Yeah,
But I realized it didn't all line up, and then I was like, why doesn't it line up? Well, there are certain lines like this one that are appearing, but they're only populated for September 30th. They're not populated for June, and they're not populated for March.
is there any chance that that's a quarterly
And then
thing that
down
she does?
here, well,
But-
hold on. And
But if
then,
they were, yeah,
and then down here, you have 2150, which appears on March. And 2160, which appears on March, but it doesn't appear on June or September.
and what's the heading for 2150 or the?
FICA.
okay, so FICA is, we're up here, this. So yeah, so in September. Okay, I don't have an
Yeah.
answer for that.
So anyway, I'm just saying, I just wanted to point out that there are some of these kind of
Yes.
structural differences that
We need to, yeah,
we kind of need to figure out. The other questions I had here, besides like the audit reserve fund, which I'm just not sure, like this audit reserve fund appears in March. It doesn't appear in September.
let's make sure, is everything open?
It's 11:45, just the first under the general account.
So, yes, I've got that in March. And yeah, that's. Sounds like there's a lot of different things moving around.
Yeah, well, that one is, you know.
I mean, at a minimum from an Excel perspective. Because it makes our analytics easier. If there's a way that she can. Oh, wait, hold on. Well, that's weird. Do you have filters? Did she have filters on any of those other ones where they weren't, where like, only because there's a filter up here for September? Is there any chance that that was part of?
I don't have any filters on here, and I think I have all the data. What I'm wondering is if she put money into that audit reserve fund sometime between September and March,
It could be.
and then then it appears. But there's certainly plenty of other things that have zero balances that appear, so I'm not sure why that would be. But anyway, that was
Huh.
just one.
No, thank you for doing that, because,
Another one here is the Bridge Reserve Fund.
okay,
So the Bridge Reserve Fund, I mean, we spent a lot of money between September and March. Do you know what
what's the account number, the bridge reserve at 1192?
1125, sorry, 1192.
So let's see, we have 1192. And right in March, it's saying 12,000. So what's it show? What are your prior dates? What?
So for both the end of June and the end of September, there was $59,994.86.
Sorry, 59.
994.
994.
0.86.
Okay, and
now
now
we're at 12,360. Sorry.
Now we're at 12,369.
12,369.86. So we've spent $47,625, and I didn't recall us doing bridge work. That was the only thing. Because this is a bridge reserve fund.
Let's look at the P&L and see what expenses that we've got here. That's revenue, expenses.
Because I know we keep saying like, well, if we have to replace bridge, we have this reserve fund, but if we're spending from the reserve fund for,
We don't have,
for something else, then it's.
Yeah. Okay. So I am not seeing. Right. Resurfacing. I guess part of it might be if we're making payments for what's happening with FEMA, like for the Pike Road temporary. Right, so that event was in July. So between June and September, you would think there might have been. So that didn't happen because it didn't change. The bridge reserve fund stayed at close to 60.
Yeah, so I think we just need to find out if that was actually meant to come from the bridge reserve fund or go somewhere else.
Yeah, so how do you want to approach the changes? Because at one point yesterday, Patty was like, oh, I didn't know you guys had had a meeting. She goes, I can't come tomorrow, kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So she's willing to do it, and I guess that's the next thing. Should we just have a work session,
Yeah,
basically?
maybe we should. I mean,
I mean, I don't know if
she's
we have
never
to
come to a
warn it.
meeting, so I wasn't
No,
expecting.
yeah, no, but sometimes, if she's here, even if she has a question and anyway,
Yeah,
because she was like, well, I said, well, we're gonna be looking at this tomorrow. She goes, what do you mean? I said, well, we have a meeting, and it was on the calendar, so,
yeah,
but she's not, she's got other things happening.
that's okay. But
I think we should have a work session with Patty so that maybe we understand her processes. And if she's doing something and just, because of the vagaries of the system, or she just hasn't sort of figured out exactly what it is we need to look at,
okay,
then maybe we can both.
okay.
We used to call it a mom meeting.
A mom meeting, MOM.
Yep, meeting of the minds. And when we were with our clients, we would say, I don't know, we gotta go ask mom.
Yeah.
We don't know
Yeah.
what we're doing, but let's go ask mom. So anyway, I think we need that kind of a meeting
All right, so
as an action.
there is the next question that I have here, and this is something that I've been, thinking about for a while, is we have this $10,285.84 sitting in the Scott and Eames fund, which is 1110. Now, you might recall the Scott fund and the Eames fund are the funds that the select board has control over, in that we can request the trustees of public funds to use those monies in any way we want.
Yes.
Which is fine. However, they should not be sitting on the balance sheet. They should not be sitting
It's
in
not
the town account.
It's not a town account.
It's not a
It's
town
an
account.
outside account.
It should be, and I think what she's doing is using this to put the money somewhere. When she requests it from the Scott fund, it goes into that account. And then when she uses it, it comes out of that account,
Which is a
okay.
short-term cash, which is I think that's what she's doing, because she's saying it's in checking. So what she's doing is delineating within the checking account
Yes,
what she's doing. So I think that what she's doing is just tagging its purpose.
correct. But what seems to have happened is she never took the $10,285
It should have gone out.
And so it's sitting there. So what I think we need to do is to ensure that at the end of the fiscal year, if there's money sitting in those accounts, it needs to go back to the trustee of public funds. If we haven't used it, it needs to go back to the trustees of public
that
funds.
cash should get reinvested. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's what the intent is. So I'm not, and I think I think what's probably happened, honestly, is that this has just been accruing for a while,
Could have been,
and she just leaves it sitting there.
because it's also not coming, like on the statement of cash flows is pretty limited as to what it is. So it's not like, because we should be seeing, you would think, but we don't have the adjusting entries, I think, to help us get from A to B. So they're not necessarily all linked.
Yeah.
Well, net income, I don't like the number, but net income seems to link. And so this just has all payroll stuff is the only net cash provided by operating activities is just.
Yeah.
So that's. Okay, anyway, so yes, I think.
So, and actually, the cemetery fund is well, okay, I'm not even gonna go there. Never mind. The other question I had is, why do we have this? We have a general account and then we have an other account.
Yeah, the 2,698.
Yeah.
So let's look on here, the way she shows it.
And it was 2,698 at the end of last fiscal year, and then it went up to 4,526 in September, and now it's back to the 2,698.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering,
General account other, and that's account number 1,000, right? So it was 4,526, right?
and I guess the big concern here is that we have slush funds
Well, that's the fear.
sitting on the balance sheet.
Right, right.
So we just want to be sure that we know exactly what these are all for and that we're managing them correctly. I think
Right.
that's the,
Right. Right, so part of what also could be happening is there is cash, right? There's cash. Then we have cash needs. And what Patty works real hard not to do is say, we're running out of cash, I need to go get a short-term loan.
Mhm.
Depending on it, because when taxes start coming in,
Yeah,
so, there is playing the float, right? And I wouldn't,
Right.
so rather than sort of slush fund, maybe it's more of a play the float, so there is cash there. But we need to get our arms around what the designations are and where the shortfalls are originating from.
yeah, but you come from banking, I come from banking. We all know that when these accounts go up and down and up and down, anybody could be using them for anything, And people all the time say,
That's
well,
the whole point.
I'm just gonna pay it back.
Right, well, right, no, that's a
So-
no, yes, for sure. No,
You know.
that's, yes, we definitely don't want that.
So
Yeah.
I understand playing the float, it's a good idea, but it has to be done with all transparency.
Oh, for sure.
And if it can't be, then we probably shouldn't be doing it.
For sure, okay, for sure.
And I think okay, then the last question I had on the balance sheet is these equity funds. So there's 4 equity funds. Unrestricted, these are all down obviously at the bottom, the 3,900s. We've got, unrestricted fund balance, opening balance, equity, retained earnings, and net income. Now, the net income, I'm assuming, is a calculated.
And that does pull off of the P and L, whether it's a right number or wrong number, it
Yeah.
does physically match the P and L.
Yeah, sure. But these others, I'm not really sure what these are.
They're just,
And why
just random
why are there
to me.
4 of them? Now,
Well,
they
because-
haven't changed.
well, part of it, I think part of it, and if we pull up the financial statements, right, part of municipal accounting, and this is where I get lost real fast, is there are unrestricted funds and there are funds as a government entity, and there's like 4 or 5
Yeah,
funds,
right.
right? So she may be compiling them all, that what this should show us is what are the sub accounts in these accounts? Right, that get to these balances. I'd have to pull up the only audited financial that I've ever seen. So,
This is
so
5.8.
these accounts should have sub accounts under them.
Yeah,
Do they on the, no, they don't, they're, at
no,
least September just has,
but. 7,
let's see if I can find the audited financials, let's just see what they.
but these are. Since these are the equity. They add to the the liabilities to come up with the assets, and so. That altogether is 571. Let's see, out of curiosity.
Total equity here is 498, is that what you're looking at?
498. Well, the total is 498, but if we take out the net income,
Oh, yeah.
because going by your logic, that these are those
Other,
funds that are, slicing and dicing.
like the bridge fund, like the other funds, right? So we've got
Yeah.
a bunch of,
So some of those are restricted, some of those are
Right.
unrestricted. I don't understand the opening balance equity.
I don't understand the retained earnings.
Well, the retained earnings is, it's just gonna be the accumulation of these equities from previous years, right? Of course,
But if they're changing from quarter to quarter, if they're bouncing up and down from quarter to quarter, that's unusual versus if they're just increasing, because then you are getting an accumulation.
Right. And I can only see from the end of the fiscal year to September, they are just increasing.
And then they should presumably, as the payment cycle changes, then they would drop as big things get paid then, right? Is that what we would expect? Because at some point it would go down. Like, what was it when you started in June? What was the first month? When you started with the first quarter?
it was 359,107.19.
All right, so then. Okay,
You know, so now it's gone up by 60,000. Yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and if that's the case, then we can actually use that. You know, because it's good to know how much of the assets are kind of restricted in some way. Um,
I mean, I'm just guessing, but it
I'm-
seems to me, just using the terminology.
yeah, but I don't know where the numbers come from,
No, I can't.
so,
And that's why if there was sub-accounts to this that said
yes,
fund balance, in this case is 20, okay, which funds are those? Is that the bridge fund?
yeah,
Is that the Kale fund? What fund? I don't know,
Exactly.
what fund is it? Okay,
20, and I mean, fund balance is only 20,000.
because that would seem,
And we've got lots of funds here, so, so we've got all of those.
do you have I'm not finding them, do you have the audited financials
Oh,
reachable?
I can get them, but I don't have them right in front of me.
Okay, it's not worth looking for, because it might be, at least maybe when we sit down with Patty. You know, here's the structure of the audited
Yeah, yeah,
financials,
yeah.
and
Well,
then
we-
these numbers from the audited financials are meaningful to us.
Yeah,
How do we get from the numbers that are meaningful to us to
Yeah,
what you got?
yeah, exactly.
I think maybe that's the better way, because, you know, having numbers swirling around is not,
Yeah.
it's too opaque. You're right.
Anyway, those were my questions, I guess. And like you say, let's have a work session with Patty and get to the bottom of some of those.
Yeah,
Just looking at the time
Yep.
here, we have 30 minutes in.
yep. I don't have any off the top of my head changes to the P and L, but I have not tried to compare them, and it should be relatively comparable to this stuff, right? When we get
Yeah.
total expenses. So if there's so let's just check. If there's a select board expenses through, let's see, that's revenue to that's highway department. Let's see if we can get total. Those are town office.
So I have here spent FY24 for the select board.
Select board account.
Um,
So according to this, the select board account,
229,755.
I'm sorry,
229,755.
for the select board account,
Yeah.
are you
that's what's
looking, are you
been-
looking at
That's
this?
spent FY24 to date.
To
I'm
date,
looking
sorry,
at-
24, correct,
Yeah.
yes, 24, so spent to date should be, I'm showing 229,755.
Right, so is that in the P and L?
That's what we're gonna look for right now, so if we go
And
to,
or is the P and L combined, highway and,
so the total select board account right here shows 575,226.
that's,
And then let me see if it's got the highway in there. So the
that's the
highway,
expenses total?
I think so. So revenue to highway, then gross profit. So the expenses start, we've got cemetery, select board account starts there. Got appropriated funds, property tax refunds. So according to this, it says spent 575. But let's see where highway is. I wonder if it includes highway.
Yeah,
No, then the highway account starts on page 4.
No, because the highway is 1.7.
And here, the highway account says it's 1.658442. And
That's on the P and L,
on the P and L,
Oh,
it
that's
says
pretty close.
1658. And this
This is
says,
1780.
this says 1780.
062.
All right, so that's,
That's at least in the ballpark.
all right, so hold on. One. So 178.062, 1658.443. Oops. So that changes 121,000. Let's go back to. Select board account, so that's, let's see what that is, maybe that's off this 200, so the select board account was 229,755. That is off by 345. 471.
What is it on the P and L? What's the total expenses?
The total expenses on the P
Select
and
board.
L, select board is 575,226.20.
Okay, the budget was only 308,989
The budget,
for the select board.
yes, it was 308. She says on here it was spent was only 229,755.
Yeah, but then the P and L is completely
Right.
bonkers.
Right, right. And again, without
Yeah,
an audit that forces that there's no, like, it's like, okay, hit the button, right? So there's no error checking. She's not going through to say, does this pass the smell test, right?
yeah, so
That's
what we
I
need
don't
to
think
talk
that's
about
part
down
of
the
her
road here.
process, right?
No, definitely not.
It's right, so there could be a huge transposition error,
Yes,
right?
right, but the numbers are coming from the same place, right?
I don't know. I would hope so.
Okay.
I don't know that I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. I hope so. They should be. They should be. So if we have, so let's look at the expenses. So for the expenses for the cemetery account, school portion of taxes paid. All right, so then appropriated funds.
Cemetery account.
So there are in the select board account. Do you know what that first 6280 is? It says total appropriated funds. Cemetery appropriated funds, fund transfer, and appropriated funds other 305.
I don't even have a 6280 on here.
This number, you don't have that up there?
6570. No, so I wonder. There's 70, 6570 doesn't appear in this budget at all. The 281 does, but that's
And what's that?
perpetual care reserve fund. But that's,
Well, part of also, I think what we need to do, and I don't know that we started to do it during the budgeting process, is move the funds out of the, a
Yeah.
regular line item.
yeah.
We did some of that, but that doesn't make sense. Cemetery perpetual care reserve fund, which was zeros. The budget for 24 was 0. 6281.
No, it's not here.
6281, so yeah, this is 18,691. Up here,
Yeah,
and here, 6281. Where'd it go?
do you have a 6281?
I thought I just.
In the, you're looking at the budget, right?
I'm looking at the budget now, yeah. 6281, yeah, it's row 66. It says
Oh,
cemetery,
that one, yeah.
this one, but it became 23,714.
Well, that's the proposed,
That's,
right?
that was what was approved for 25, but for prior years, let's see what we got here. For prior years. Oh, she hit it. Wait a minute.
Call from wireless caller.
Mhm. So perpetual care, so it's always been 5,000.
That's the, right, that's the,
So I don't know where at the 18, it came up to
mhm.
nothing, it was a zero budget, I guess, in 24.
Well, it
According to-
wasn't. It was. You know what happened in 24? It was a don't, what do you call it? Like a separate article. So it didn't appear.
Okay,
But what we said was going
Right.
forward, we don't want to do that. We want it to be included in the budget.
cool, okay. Okay, so the separate article was Article 12. 11,328.84.
Yeah. That was it's also confusing because that was the amount that was appropriated.
Oh, 18,691 is here.
Yes,
Article 13, which we were gonna raise and
Right.
appropriate. So
Right.
we had a current balance
That's
and then
to
we were
create
gonna
the
raise
fund.
and appropriate.
Exactly.
Okay,
That's it.
yes. I'm with you. So I guess I gotta make this better. So the 1860, okay, so that's what my notes are, the placeholder and then the cemetery request, okay. So for this, for budget, I'm gonna put a.
You know, Karen, I guess one question is, what are we trying to do here?
Right.
Are we trying to make the budget match the P and L?
No, I just want, as I'm seeing things, we're going through, I just want to make a note here that says this was article.
Yeah,
It's just, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to make it match. I'm
no,
just,
but I'm wondering, like,
need a
what are we
roadmap.
trying to do? Or are we trying to kind of review this budget and say, you know,
This is what we need.
think it's time to.
Oh, yeah, no, we're
get more
definitely
money,
doing that.
or are we?
I'm just using the budget for a smell test. And is this something we've looked at? Is this a number? Because if we've got numbers that don't make any sense and they're showing up in the budget, then that's a different thing. So that's all. So. But I think a work session with Patty is,
Yeah,
overdue, probably. Yeah, because just looking at the budget, which should be helping us with the spent to date, which is the only thing that we have to look at on a day-to-day basis, it just doesn't.
Mm.
All right, so yeah, let's, maybe we table the rest of this to a conversation with Patty. And then maybe I can spend some time, or we can spend some time before then separately. kind of mapping things between what she tells the entire board, the information she provides the entire board to the P and Ls,
Yeah,
because it's cash basis and cash basis, so.
so I'm just gonna do a quick check.
Salary and
Oh, shit, what
wages,
did I do?
6,152. Yeah, because even salary and wages, which should be a pretty straightforward number.
Um.
This isn't matching. Even the easy stuff doesn't match. Yeah, this doesn't match at all. Even the easy stuff. Right,
mm,
like. Like EMD compensation. Right?
Which one was that?
Well, if I look at EMD compensation, in March, it's 6,152 in salary and wages.
Uh-huh,
It says 875 on the P and L. But on the budgets, on the spent year to date, EMD, it's 2,685.
yeah.
They're not the same.
Mm.
So what I'm trying to do is find
So the
really,
numbers aren't
yeah,
coming from the same place.
it doesn't
seems-
appear, that's what I'm trying to see, so
Although that P and L is from.
May. but did we pay?
Is it from May?
It's from May, as of May 2nd, so what's the difference? Let's see. Is
The
that
P and
bill?
L or the budget is from May 2nd? The
The
budget
budget,
is
May
from May
2nd.
2nd. What, but did she do the P and L as of March 31st?
No, that's what I said at the very beginning, the P and L is as of March.
Oh, the P and L also. Oh,
And
no,
so
it's-
the timing difference to the budget, but,
okay,
so the difference. If we look at the difference for EMD, it was 875 and now it's 2,625. And 262, I can see if we paid that, if we,
between March and May.
yeah, so the difference. Is 1,750 and I have a select board order, cause I did them. I can look real quick and see if that's what's coming up. Orders. It would have been, let's see if I look at 19. EMD. All Blaze, EMD, yep, 1,750. Was check number 0422,
That was recently.
yep. After April 16th. So as of March, it was 875, then in April, it was 1,722, so then when she got to May. And gave us.
Well, the 1,722 is what was spent, right? So it's
It
1,722
matches.
plus the,
It matches,
right.
so that matches. Which is good,
That's good. But something doesn't match.
yeah. There's other things, but I think part of it goes back when let's talk to policy is that we want apples and apples. All the time periods,
Yes.
Mhm.
Exactly.
accounting method. Because let's look at a big spend. That's the select board, let's look at the highway, those are the biggest spends. Something there. Okay, that's. All right, let's move on, should we move on to the next
Yes,
agenda item, because
okay.
I think.
So I guess on the budget, do we? I mean, the one thing that I know, like Patty's been wondering is when we're gonna need money.
She's waiting for us to tell her.
Huh?
No, no. She says she has, and this is, goes back to your earlier point. She has cash.
Yeah,
It may be allocated for I don't know
Fine.
what, but she has cash, so she doesn't need it yet, right?
right, okay, yeah. I
Because
know
she
she
doesn't
said
want the
that to me
loan.
like 2 weeks ago.
Right, and she said the same thing yesterday, that she
Okay.
was feeling, because every time, every time since I've done the orders, the last two, 19, order 19 and order 20, I'm like, do we have this money?
Right,
Like, is it here before we send? She's like, oh yeah, we have it because, whatever the cash balance is.
yeah. But if she's doing that, it's
We told-
fine, but I
We told the
think,
town we were gonna do this. The town said, yes, it's okay. We should just do it.
you mean get the money?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I think as treasurer, that's probably her call, like.
I guess.
When she's gonna need it, she's gonna need it, and we'll give it to her. I'm less concerned about that than I am about her doing this, borrowing from Peter to pay Paul without recording it anywhere. Like, do
Well,
we
I don't know that she's not
No,
recording
no, I
yet,
know we don't know,
but
I'm
yes,
wondering, like.
we need to,
Like, if she's doing that, if she's saying, I have
it's
cash
very
and
risky,
I'm overspending certain lines, that's okay. But we need to be able to see it.
right, and
you
that
know,
is
we need
risky
a
without,
Cash flow statement.
Right.
No,
because that's not doing it.
no.
I agree.
Okay, anyway. Um. Moving on, financial software options,
Before we do that,
yeah,
what's the next one? Is the next one,
review finance and accounting policies.
let's do
Sure.
that, because I think that has a direct bearing.
Yeah.
On this, and just given, the amount of time that we want to focus.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So let's do,
And that's an easy one, because we don't have any.
we're gonna defer that, and we're gonna do financial policy. Is there one?
No.
There's not one written down.
Not as far as I know.
So Town of Halifax administrative policies. Let's see what we got here. Policies, personnel, sexual harassment. Ordinances. Purchasing, payroll, records management. Code of ethics. There is no. There's administrative policies,
Those administrative policies are
could be,
not in any way financial,
they're definitely
and
not,
they're-
right?
and they're
Town of Halifax,
ancient.
2000. This whole book is quite old.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be an ordinance, other, emergency management, town roads, road commissioner,
Just gonna look in here, although.
rules of procedure, it's probably locked, I couldn't get into it. No, there you go. There you go. Are the other ones locked? Those are by date, so I think I was able to get into that, but the other ones are locked. I think the one under it's locked.
Huh,
Yeah,
why is that one open?
I don't know, the other ones don't open. I don't know.
Probably keys link, but.
Okay, so no policy.
So we don't know,
So
we
we
don't
need-
have finance and accounting policies now,
Do
the
not appear to.
VLCT, finance policies are. They're really basic. But. It'd probably be good to have.
Oh, I think we should, at a very minimum, right? I think we should have it, and to the extent we recommend and the board adopts this reporting protocol,
Yeah,
right? At a minimum, then we can kind of move from there, because the purchasing, I mean, maybe there's other policies that feed into it.
yes, there are.
So we can say, okay, purchasing policy applies here and different things, but it's really almost a financial reporting policy as
Mm,
opposed to a financial big picture, right? I think financial reporting policy, maybe we can zero in a little more on that.
yeah, that's probably a smart thing to do. Mm,
were you able to print that off of VLCT?
The model finance?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I did, but I can't find it right in a second. But I will,
I'm gonna get out of that. Okay. let's see.
here it is, model. Okay, so this is the more important one, the model accounting,
Ah.
auditing and reporting policy.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, so that one I have. Let me see if
Can you PDF it and send it?
Yeah. And this is the one that's going to be a lot more complicated,
Okay,
right? Because we, here you go, I just sent it to you. Because this really involves Patty.
yes,
And there it is on page 4.
it hasn't gotten to me yet.
Oh, okay.
And I have the local official golf outing from VLCT. That's handy.
But you'll see that this is very,
You sent it to, Yeah.
Did I send it to you?
I don't know,
I
Doesn't-
sent it to,
doesn't look like it's trying to get to me.
let me see what address this is.
I'm logged in.
Yeah, it's your Halifax address.
Okay. Come on, all right, let me see if I can do a send receive update. What's going on? It's not coming. Contact, email. Come on. Did it leave your
Mhm,
outbox?
it did.
Look, that's outbox. Check spam folder, nothing there. There's
That wouldn't do that to me.
No, I would not.
Um,
Oh, there's a boatload of stuff in it, but no,
you don't by any chance have a little thumb drive on you, do you?
I sure do.
I
found
don't
it.
have one in this bag, but I
I
can,
do. Yeah, let's do.
I can just give it to you that way.
Yeah, let's do that. I did have.
Is it in here? This
In
little
that
white?
little white thing, yes. That's it. To make it easier to find. Goes in. To go like that. How many pages is that policy?
Oh, very small.
Okay.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Model accounting and auditing policy with guidance. Okay. The Word file, yeah. I I'm pulling it up now. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, so this just
Oh,
kind of,
geez, yeah.
this
yeah.
just kind of gives a basic outline about
Mhm.
how the town conducts its finances. But it doesn't have any detail.
No, it doesn't
And-
say these columns, this frequency, this stuff.
Right, so it doesn't say that, I mean, there is the reporting section, but it doesn't, what we don't have as a town is an accounting policy.
Right.
So, and so we don't really,
Let's see. And I guess there isn't one in VLCT, right?
there is not, because I think that depends on which accounting system you're using. And how your chart of accounts is set up and all that other stuff, so that all goes into the accounting policy,
Okay,
so.
GASB home, which is government
Mhm.
gap, which
Yeah.
is what we should be. I just typed in accounting policy for municipalities and that
Yeah.
just came right up, so. Let's see what it says. Yeah, accounting standards, regulations, definition, policies, government accounting policies. Compliance with, I'm gonna have to dig around. It's not, I was hoping it would say, oh, here's a policy and a procedure.
I don't, I think for,
It's not gonna do
I
it.
think for like the finance policies, that what you have from VLCT is probably. As much as we're gonna get, they do, VLCT does have a bunch of other policies, like a fraud policy and a reserve fund policy and a. Balanced budget policy, and they have like all of these financial policy models,
Yeah,
but they don't have anything related to accounting.
and fiscal reporting. Maybe.
I haven't
Well-
seen anything on reporting,
Could we just say, I mean,
but
what we think we need?
yeah, well, that's the
Right.
thing, we can adopt this, but this is just a model, so we
We'd have to
put
add,
here,
yeah.
exactly what we want. It's, I mean, this has. Treasurer will prepare monthly financial reports for the select board's management purposes. These will consist of. Budget report, statement of revenue, expenditures and changes in fund balance, balance sheet. You know. Obviously,
And just say what the timing is, like, this is the
Yeah.
frequency.
this says monthly, but like, I don't think we're gonna do monthly.
We would say quarterly, but I think as part of the policy, it should be that the town treasurer should, error check.
Well,
Right.
this was one of the recommendations from the audit, is that they were. The treasurer is meant to be doing a monthly.
Reconciliation.
Reconciliation.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. So that should be part of the policy, and then maybe she delivers it to us, not us, to the board.
Yeah,
On whatever the quarterly basis is. I don't know that we're gonna be able to say within 45 days. I mean, ideally, yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean. Cause it shouldn't be that complicated within 45 days. So let's ask, we should ask for it.
Yeah,
We should ask for it, and then just figure out why that doesn't make sense. But at a minimum, we should, and that way, then the board, if that's every 45 days, then, finance committee can say, okay, and what are the big variances, right? And so maybe part of the policy is on a quarterly basis. We have to sit down with, with Patty, let's walk through what are these big variances and what's the best way to accommodate that variance, whatever it is.
Right.
And, right, and maybe that's the best way to do it. Because then we can go back to the board to say, okay, here's this variance, or here's this pending variance. Board, we need your eyes on it because we may need to
Yeah,
course correct.
right. Yeah, that's true. I guess I'm hoping we can get a little bit beyond that. Like monitoring and into sort of a larger, like, are we using the funds from
Oh.
taxpayers
Or
in the best?
are we
ways?
maximizing it? No, I absolutely agree. But I think we need some period of time.
Yeah, we do.
Because
do.
you and
I
I,
know.
this is, how many meetings have we had?
I
We've
know.
never once gotten through any
No.
of this.
And
Not
it
one
should be
time.
like, we just look at it and we're like, okay.
It's off this
It's
much
all-
because, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We just, that big
Right.
check just came through. Okay, I get it.
Right, exactly.
And we've never been able to.
No.
So
no,
maybe
we're
that's
still
a better use of our time, at least short term,
focusing on the policy.
focusing on the policy and delivering the policy.
Yeah.
Sitting down with Patty and saying, this is what we need to do.
Yeah,
Because, yeah, we get the point that, we're playing the float, but are we playing the float with a small amount of money, or are we juggling? In which
Mhm.
case, if we're juggling big numbers around, then that's where it gets awkward and dangerous. I mean, and we don't want people to point to her and say,
right.
it's opaque, and
right.
because it's opaque, we think you're
Well,
doing something nefarious, and that, we don't
This
wanna
is
go
what-
there.
Yeah, we know that somebody in the town already has that opinion,
Mhm.
so we don't want, we want to be able to. Address those things right up front without
Yes.
having,
Yes,
a lot of. Finger pointing, as you say.
absolutely,
So
absolutely. So what's the best action item now
I think
for us?
honestly, I think if we put a date in the diary for another meeting between now and then, we can actually come up with this. This
Policy, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I
Draft
think we should.
policy.
Yes, I think we should, but then I think we need to sit down with Patty and say, this is what we think.
Yeah,
Cause we need to do it in coordination with her on some point. There may be things that she's very positive on, there may be things that she's not positive on at all. Then she's gonna have to explain how come.
right. So the question is, we've already talked about having this work session. Do we punt on the work session and just focus on the policy?
How
Or,
long do you think it'll take to do the policy? Cause it would be great if we had the policy and say, well, we need the policy because this work session, we don't know left, right from center.
I don't,
Just as far as
I mean,
having her,
it's really not that much,
if we like, this is what we want the reports to look like, to contain these various things.
See, like, okay, so for example, the accounting in here, it specifies. That the use of the modified accrual basis.
Which is true, that's what we use, but.
No, we don't.
No, we have modified accrual for our audited accounting.
But what it
not
says
for our
here is
day-to-day.
the
Somebody-
treasurer
Make sure somebody's here, yes.
will establish and maintain a system of fund accounting and shall measure financial position and results.
Oh, what you got? Patty's not here today. Oh, hey, I'm Karen.
Hi,
Patrick's here. Guess who's here?
Oh, good, good.
Lee Todd is here.
Oh, hi, Lee.
I'm leaving
This
quickly.
guy snuck
Lee.
on us.
We have need for an audit.
When? Tomorrow?
Yeah, we're just talking about that.
How are you? My overdue, my late, shall I bring that back tomorrow or?
No, I'm gonna put it on Patty's desk.
Okay,
I'm gonna put it on Patty's desk right now,
okay.
and she
And
will,
I think Aaron submitted hers too.
she
Oh, that's
did,
great. Oh, good.
she did,
So we're already in
she did.
here. Yeah, that, we thought about that.
How's everything?
Good, how you doing?
Pretty good. How did you like the photos? Did they come out okay?
Yeah,
Ours came out really nice, but I think it was just too early. Because you get a lot of these that are just like, okay, they don't see a lot of sticks.
Yeah.
But,
yeah,
the ones that are closer up are really nice.
yeah, that was the same, I was almost. And then even today, you see, overnight, 24 hours, things are changing so quickly.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that is our perspective, because we're down here, he was up how high?
Yeah,
I know
that's right.
He's way up there.
Yeah.
And so it's those big like ones, and then you look at his stuff and you're like, oh, that's so beautiful, we
Yeah.
got all the trees
Yeah.
leafed out, and then it's kind of interesting actually, but yeah, I think we could probably wait. Anyway, we're in the middle of a meeting.
Okay.
I'll let you back, but-
We abandoned the video.
Yeah.
All
Good to see you, Lee.
right, see you around. Thank you
Good
so
night.
much.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so I don't think it's that big of a deal, but it's really more. What are we gonna do? Well, what are we gonna do about that? Like,
Well, I think what we do, because it says for actual audited reporting, it is modified, there's statutes, there's all that stuff. We, as a town, because we don't, we just say we're saying we're doing cash basis.
Yeah.
But we have to do as much as we can. I think this should be part of the policy to comply with, which means we have to be able to do accrual. Right? So I think should be aspirational. And we'll be able to do the accruals once we get a software that actually accommodates those accruals. Right, so I think that's part of, it's all kind of, I think it all kind of blends in together.
so that's going to be a little bit of the challenge, is that we have a kind of a bowl of spaghetti, and what this is asking you for are the individual strands.
I think, yeah, it's a good way of putting it, because the most we can do from a policy is ask that accrual entries be done, to the extent possible, right? And there's a lot of stuff that can't be done, and we still have to sort that out with the auditor, I think, still. And I'll have to pull up all my accounting questions, but a lot of those adjusting entries, like hundreds of them, can be done.
Yeah.
And we should have all of those, so that when the auditor does come on whatever the cycle is, that work is all done, and then it's just these big government fund account, big technical CPA adjustments.
Right.
And so for having them do 10 adjustments versus 200, also ought to bring the price down, I'm hoping.
Yeah. Shoot, I thought I had actually done something with this, but I don't think I did. Okay, so that's like, that's wordsmithing essentially is what we have to do with this
I think so.
accounting, is wordsmith it. The auditing is really just the audit policy that we've already passed, so we don't really have any flexibility on that. The monthly and annual financial reporting, that's the one where we're gonna have to be
Very
probably
precise.
clear and change some of these, because I just don't know if it's realistic.
Yeah, because she's not gonna be able to show us the balance sheet showing town assets less liabilities in the fund balance. I just don't think she's gonna be able to, but if we're writing a policy, we should be aspirational. Right? Or do we have to change the policy once there's a new?
Well, wait a minute, I
'Cause the
mean,
policy is a weird
she
thing.
presented us with the balance sheet, so
Right,
like,
I guess doesn't make sense, which we'll find out in the work session.
that's a bit of a different
Yeah,
thing, but we should have the balance sheet. The statement of revenue, expenditures, and changes in fund balances we should be getting, which we're not.
yeah, what about the schedules that you had asked her for at town meeting time? And remember, those came,
Yeah.
right, though, all those schedules, that should be part of the reporting,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, that's what I mean.
I
Yeah.
agree, and I think we can list those, and maybe we can list reports,
Yeah,
whatever they are.
exactly.
And we can say, please see, sample report attachment A, attachment B, attachment C. So it's like, this is what it looks like.
Right,
And, this is how we want it.
so that's more wordsmithing.
Okay,
Balance sheet, fine. The treasurer will also prepare an annual financial report. She does that already. As well as appropriate additional disclosures as necessary for the complete understanding of the financial statements. Okay, this is where, I think we have to spell it out, because we're, I think this is where a policy can be helpful, because we have a difference of opinion here. Patty thinks that she only reports on things that she controls. But we have to find some way to show the town aside from flipping through various pages in the book, what all the assets of the town are. And not just what Patty's controlling, but what the,
the
yeah,
outside funds, everything, yes.
yeah, the
Mhm.
reserve funds.
Well, so that means then does that mean the treasurer now needs to require reporting from these other entities that she doesn't have control over, so that she says, okay, at the end of the report, this is the number, I'm reporting it, you gave it to me.
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll put that in that,
And I guess from the, again, more from the financial policy perspective, does that go into the balance sheet? I mean, I think it should.
it does, because it's part of the whole town, so, but I think what she needs to do, I mean, it sounds like if she's gonna come to you as a trustee of public funds. And say, on this date, March 31,
Yeah,
what is it? Give me
Right.
the number.
right,
Either give me the statement, give me something.
right.
Then she takes that number and she puts it into the balance
Exactly,
sheet. Right,
exactly.
she should totally do that. There's gonna be a time difference, right? Because you're not gonna get March 31, right? So that
Right.
extends it out a little bit. We'll have to figure out what the timing is, but
Sure,
there should be a part of the policy, because it's the town policy,
yeah,
that any of these entities that are not controlled by the treasurer, they also have a reporting obligation, and the reporting obligation for these other entities
yeah,
is ABC, to get it to the treasurer, so the treasurer can get it into the town reporting system.
yes. And what about, so there's also these other things that aren't in there because they're like separate, the separate articles. Right, they don't get into the budget, so they
So-
don't get reported on. So we have to find some way to say that, like,
So we were better this time. So this time we had the grant reserve change. We had the wings 3,000, that was out, that was what, that's an example, right? So it wasn't in this list of
right,
that stuff. This stuff she does have in there. It's in the income statement, or it's in something.
which is it, what are you planning?
In this case, it was Article 7, so it had all the.
Oh, yeah.
All the services.
Yeah,
So the one that wasn't in there, which was different, was this 3,000
okay,
this time. Usually it's down here, but for whatever reason it changed, and so it was, I think it was 25, I don't know, it changed. So,
but that, for example, is not in this budget that she just gave us, is it?
well, we could put it in the budget.
Well, we could, I don't think we have to, like, I understand what she's saying, is like, I am the treasurer and I control this budget, and this is what I report on as the treasurer. I report on the select board budget and I report on the highway budget. Right?
And her own treasurer town stuff, right? Cause she has her own budget for things. That's separate from us, because that's where, like, and she
But
had
that's
reports,
not here.
well, she reports on things like, income from revenue, from taxes. School tax thing, there's all that stuff, right? That's her, that I was always like, cause I was, when I first got here, I was like, well, I'd like to see. Something, I'd like to see a report that says, these are the town's income items, big picture, taxes, school,
Yeah,
grants, whatever they are. And they total income in any period of some number. Underneath is these are all the town's expenses, and you can break them down by highway, select board, other stuff, whatever they are.
right,
What is the net cash position or the net income
Right.
for the town? So that's supposed to be this P&L, right?
right.
That's supposed to be that P&L, because it's different from the budget that you and I look at as select board members.
Yeah, okay, so that's maybe a very helpful distinction. And what we should be ensuring is that all of those other things are included in the budget, in the financial statements.
In the financial
Doesn't have to be
statement,
included in the budget, which.
because we've got
she does
90,
separately.
we've got 90% of the budget, 98% of the budget, and what of the town's financial position,
But not 90% of the assets.
but not 90% of the assets a whole different thing.
Yeah, but that's not appearing currently. It's opaque.
It is
There's
okay.
no way to know unless you look at the town report, and every once a year you can look and see what the town has in these funds.
How does she know what those assets are?
She
There's no
She
depreciation.
doesn't care.
but there's no,
She doesn't, no, she's very clear. She's like, that's the trustees of public funds who do that. I have nothing to do with it. They have to report to the town separately.
but that's easy enough to do, because she has to get them into, I think the policy needs to be, yeah, you do care. Because they do go into the financial statements, you know,
That's what we have to say in the
Right.
policy.
so I think we do that, but the assets that I think are completely opaque, and because there's no, in municipal finance, municipal accounting, you know, there's no depreciation schedule for equipment, like, we know it's 15 years or something,
Yeah,
but that is very different, and asset wise, okay, acreage, we own the land that the garage is on, that
right,
own the land that this building is on, those are big assets, right?
right, yes,
Those, I don't know how that's depreciated when you've got capital expense. I don't know how that changes that account balance. And I don't know if that's, well, that becomes a CPA thing. Let's get this
No,
information.
There's no CPA thing
Well,
that,
who does the audit?
well, no, the audit is a different thing. The audit is like looking at
Should
this and
be,
saying, okay, this is
and I
accurate
have,
or not accurate.
right,
But in the whole municipal accounting thing, and it does kind of make sense if you think about it, like the town doesn't want to make any money off of the assets
that it,
that it has that are like the town
For town
garage
use, for
or
town
the
use.
equipment.
correct.
So therefore, do the accounting separately.
Mhm,
What it's, the financial assets that it's using are basically taxpayer money.
correct.
And if we had any businesses, like business money, and that is what gets, you know, into the budget, and therefore, you know, the majority of, you know, analysis would be, are you using that money correctly?
Mhm.
So I think there is some logic there, but certainly we need that schedule that says,
we
you know, you've
absolutely-
got this
yeah.
many trucks and they've depreciated by this much, and red light, you're behind. Because why
Well,
have,
that's why we went to the trouble during the
I know.
budgeting process to do that. That's the best, that's the most we've got.
yeah,
This, I don't believe this accounting system has any ability to accommodate that.
I mean, it's QuickBooks, right?
Mhm.
So QuickBooks can certainly accommodate that. I know plenty of businesses that run off QuickBooks that are a lot bigger than our town. But it's not, but you have to know how to do it.
Well,
That's-
yes, so now that's the next thing.
Yeah, but I agree
Then-
with you. I think we have to scrap the system because,
But even if we don't, we're not gonna, it's not gonna happen in a year,
no, it's not gonna happen.
right? So we have a year that at least that we're probably gonna have to worry about. So
Yeah,
maybe what we should do is we've got our work, we've got our policy. And
Yeah.
so maybe we could say, you know, because we're gonna have to do this a little side by side,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So maybe let's put together the framework of the policy that has as much as we think makes sense.
Yes,
Have our work session and say, this is what we need to get to. We have this work session because we haven't been able to do it. It's core to what the auditor, the CPA was concerned about because of.
Yeah.
So we need all of this. Then what we can do is say, okay, and if she says, well, trustee of public funds, all these assets, well, this is part of the policy. These people are reporting on town, these entities or people or whatever they actually are using town funds. They are also, it's incumbent upon them to report on a timely basis
right,
certain things. So they are required, the town should require them to report to the treasurer. Once the treasurer has this information, it is the treasurer's responsibility to get that information into the town's financial accounting system. Then then the treasurer can report to all of whoever, to the select board. And in an interim basis to the finance committee, where we are, and then we can have meaningful
Yeah.
conversations about where are we getting close, because I always feel sitting at meetings that all of a sudden it's a fire drill, like we didn't see this coming.
yeah, exactly,
And now all of a sudden it's like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Like when we were talking about bridge fund in here, how much do we have in the bridge fund if we have a huge storm?
right,
What are we
Right.
gonna do?
Well,
None of
okay.
us know.
right.
I
I
don't-
don't know. It could be 12,000, it could be 80,000.
Correct. We don't know. So everybody, but that's the kind of thing that I think everybody, like, you know, someone new like Rhonda, where everything is new, you know, she needs to sort of be able to say, okay, what What am I looking at? Give me the building blocks for what we care about.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why, you know, the fund accounting is important.
Mhm. Did
So.
you ever get that? We never got it,
What?
that report that you asked for, because I wanted it for
We-
our budget to be in the town meeting book.
We didn't really, I'll show you what we got.
Because ideally, it should be one of the tabs in the budget tab that we use for reporting.
Yeah, she did send something. But it wasn't. Oh my gosh, I did do something here, draft finance policy,
Hurrah! You're the best.
but. So, what's the easy way to collaborate on this? Because it's,
For you and I,
yeah, I mean,
do we have open meeting law drama?
I don't think so. It's only the two of us. It's not a quorum. Well, I suppose it's, I don't know. I'm not that anal about this stuff.
I know, but
I don't think, I mean, what we're doing is we're just coming up with a policy together.
Mhm.
And I don't think we're making any decisions. We're just putting things onto paper.
if we're doing it as, I think if we're doing it as select board members, we could do it all day long. If we're doing it as a finance committee, I think we have to warn it. I think that's the distinction. Because Edie and I did a ton of work back and forth, you know, on the roles and responsibilities.
Yeah. So
It's no
essentially
different
the
than
same.
that. But we're
So-
doing it as select board members, not as
Okay,
finance committee.
fair
members.
enough. And, but the question is, like, what is an easy way to collaborate on this stuff? Is like,
Track changes.
so. But you can't, then it's sending back and forth, like.
I mean, you and I can sit down with you
I
anytime.
use OneDrive.
I've never used
You
OneDrive.
don't use OneDrive. I don't use Google Docs, but I could. Do you ever use Google Docs?
I've only used it, I mean, I could, we have the Google Docs account, it could be there, and everybody in the select board, all you have to do, Allison, I think, assigns, and we can assign.
It doesn't
Our own
really work.
folder.
It doesn't work for me. Like the town stuff doesn't work for me, but if we just do it in a Google Doc,
But why can't we do it in the town Google Doc?
because my town email account and Gmail don't play well together. My town account is not a Gmail
It's an
account.
Outlook account.
It's an Outlook account. And so
Oh,
it doesn't, they just,
Okay.
I always have this problem. So I can do it, but I use my own like
personal Google
personal
account.
Gmail account.
Well, why
and-
couldn't you use it for this purpose?
I can.
In the town account, if she lets you in. She can let you in with your Gmail account. She could let anybody in.
Oh, well, that's fine.
Why don't we do it that way? Because the records belong to the town, whatever we're doing, so they
That's
might as
true.
well be there.
Okay.
If you can use your Gmail account, if that's the trick, we just have to explain that.
Okay, so can you do that? Because I don't even know what you're talking about, but
right.
whatever you do, I will be able to access it.
All right, so we're gonna say action. We're gonna say use Google Docs. And it's gonna be Karen and Patrick to draft. Accounting policy, right?
Yeah, so
Let's put these actions, actually, it should be in the minutes anyway, well. And then we're gonna use Patrick's. I mean, I've got Outlook, my Gmail for this is in Outlook.
yeah, but if you're not used to using it, it's probably gonna.
For OneDrive, you mean?
Yeah, it's.
Yeah,
probably
I've just never used it.
Be complicated.
Okay,
Anyway, I'm just sending you these,
what are you sending? me?
this
The
draft finance policy, which honestly, I did it so long ago.
Oh, okay,
I don't even remember what's in it, but it's at least like the format that we need.
yeah, okay. Model accounting, there we go.
Oh, the model accounting is the one I sent you first that you
Oh,
didn't
model
receive.
accounting, yes, I got that.
So that's the VLCT one.
Oh, yeah, okay, so let me send receive again, update folder.
And it looks like all I did was kind of reformat this. I didn't really.
Got it,
do anything,
draft
and I
finance
put town of
policies.
Halifax in there.
Got it.
and I put a
Okay.
watermark on there.
Okay, got it.
So if you can put that into whatever Google.
Oh, this is still draft finance policy.
Yeah,
It's nothing. It still has VLCT on it.
oh, yeah, it's all over, it's just,
It just says Town
all
of
I did
Halifax.
is I took.
Oh, you just put Town of
I-
Halifax up
I
there?
put Town of Halifax up there, I took out all of the blah bitty blah that they put in.
Oh,
in
the guidance.
beginning. And I'm just like, if we're gonna adopt, and I put in the select board signatures.
Okay,
You know, so like, if we're gonna adopt something, this is what it's gonna be.
got
But
it.
then I didn't actually
It's not a draft.
change it,
Yeah, okay,
because
it's
I
just a format.
started to talk to Patty about it, and then we
Ah.
got off down some rabbit hole.
Draft
This was
finance
after the accounting, after the audit,
Okay, okay,
and this was one of the things we were meant to follow up on.
so this is 2024-05. I'm just putting it 2020, what is today, the 9/09, okay. Okay, so hit save. So we wanna try and get this onto Google Docs.
Yes, and then you and I can together revise it
Mhm.
to include whatever we want to do.
We
And then
should be able
once,
to
once you and I are okay with it, then we can, you know,
share it with
share
Patty.
it with the,
Well, then
yeah,
it
then
becomes
we
finance
share it
committee.
with
We sit with
Patty.
Patty as a finance committee. And then once we've done that, then it goes back to the board.
right.
Yeah, this open meeting laws, I mean, I'm all for it, but it does get
Yeah.
difficult. Cause how did we do the select board report? It was iterations. People were going back to Pete and then Pete was putting in,
Yeah, Pete was doing it,
Pete was doing,
essentially. It wasn't, we weren't kind of co-creating.
no.
Okay,
Right.
so. So that's what we're gonna do. Do we want to put a date on this?
Yeah,
Or
well, let's
send,
put
like,
dates. Why not? We should.
Traveling like.
So hold on, so I need to
Next
talk to
couple of
Allison
weeks.
Allison's in Atlanta right now. Okay. So when do we want to meet?
Well, let's say, yeah, okay. When do
What's our
you
timing?
meet with Patty?
Well, do we want to do this first?
Well, we want to do this first, but I think we can do
Let's
this.
meet with Patty first.
Well, I think we can do this. You know, remotely. We don't need a meeting.
Oh, no,
to do it.
no. I'm saying, what's our next step, right? So I've got
Yeah.
to get a hold of Allison. I got to get the Google Doc folder set up.
Yeah,
Right, she needs to do that. She may say, oh, Karen, you can do that yourself, in which case I will endeavor to do that. But I
yeah,
gotta talk to her first, and she's not, I think she gets back from Atlanta tonight.
okay,
So I will, in the next couple of days, figure out a way to talk to her. Then you and I, once that's done, then you and I can start doing our thing. So when do we want to
Yeah.
meet with Patty? That's really the next thing, target meeting with Patty
okay. Well, I am back on the 25th.
of
So,
May,
of May,
okay?
so. It will have to be after that. Unless you want to meet with her because without me, because I mean, that's okay. I realize it's a,
Honestly, because until then, I could do it next week. Then I am fishing.
where are you going?
We're going to, well, assuming Gina doesn't have surgery. So anyway, I'm fishing from the 21st to the 25th. 4th, and then my nephew and his wife are coming for Memorial Day, so I'm kind of jammed
Oh,
up.
is that Memorial Day?
Memorial Day weekend, Memorial Day is the 27th.
Oh, okay.
And you're back the 25th?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that next week, I could do something that week. After the 28th.
okay.
I could do anything after the 28th. So we want to target a meeting with Patty after the 28th. So then when we get to June, then June, I'm fishing again. From the 12th to the 24th. We've got some select board meetings that I might have to do remotely. So anyway, yeah, so ideally, I think ideally we want to have a meeting of the minds with Patty before she produces the June 30 report, ideally. I mean, that's year end. You know, so we need to,
Well,
maybe I have to
Yeah.
reconfigure my,
but she won't really be doing anything before then, right? Because I mean, she can't really do anything until after
well, I guess the
the
question is,
30th.
if we tell her what we need from a reporting perspective, she's, you know, I don't know if she needs to go to QuickBooks school,
Oh,
ask Jessica to come in, who's very good at QuickBooks, to help her do these reports. I mean, maybe that's, you know,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, we won't know until we meet with her, right? So
Right, so our target is, when do we want to meet with Patty? Now it gets us back to.
I think we propose you know, the week, that week of the last week of,
29th.
yeah.
So she doesn't work Thursday, so it would have to be. It would have to be either the 29th or the 31st of May. Let's say the 29th.
Okay. That's fine. The 29th is good, actually. I think. Actually,
May 29th. Let's see if there's anything on here, May 29th. Nothing. That's gonna be a finance committee meeting, right? Or no, or is that,
it's
I
a
think it has to be a finance
work
committee meeting.
session. Yeah, fine.
It's a work
Yeah, we
session, so
can-
I'm just gonna do finance committee work session. And we'll see what time. Let's send Patty an email now.
Okay. Meanwhile, I've just sent this to you by Gmail,
The draft policy.
the draft
dot docs.
policy. So now it's in in a Google Doc format. So maybe that's easier for,
Oh, I had it was in docs already, right?
yeah, but this is now in a Google Drive format
Oh,
thing. I don't know.
should I open it? I don't know what, is this what I have to send to Allison?
It might be easier if you send it as a Google link as opposed to trying to send it as a,
So if I forward this, can I forward this to Allison? Or can you send it to Allison and me?
I can send it to Allison.
Let's do it that way. Why don't we limit the number of in-betweens? Why don't you send it to Allison,
Sure.
and then you can copy me. And we want, you know, and say, you know, please help Karen establish this, you know, this folder and access
Mhm.
for our financial accounting policies, or whatever it is, draft finance policy. So do you want, while you're doing that, I will draft, shall I draft the email to Patty?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's do that. So let's say, oops. CCU. Subject. So I'm doing the subject work session, town treasurer and finance committee. So the subject matter when it comes in,
Yep.
that's gonna be what it's gonna be. I'll read this to you in a second. Oh, I'm sure. I'm gonna say a 2-hour session, okay? Because we're not gonna be able to do it in an hour.
Yeah.
So
We do in the afternoon though.
I don't see why not. What did we say, May 29th?
Yeah.
And she may, and that's up to her. Are you available on Thursday? She doesn't usually work Thursdays.
What's
Close.
Thursday, the
Will be the 30th.
Thursday, the 30th, will be more difficult, but
Okay.
I may have a
Because I think
window.
I'm comfortable either way.
The 30th. It would have to be like 12. No, I can't.
Okay. Okay, I was gonna say, if it was a possible, I would
Not
say
really.
alternatively, we could meet between A and B on the
If it
next
was
day.
an hour, I could, but I can't.
can't do
I
an hour.
can't do 2 hours.
No, we'll never
I just
do this
don't
in
have
an hour.
I don't. Yeah, and I don't have 2 hours on
Okay,
Thursday.
that's fine. That's fine.
Wednesday afternoon is looking quite open.
Okay, so I'm gonna say password. And I are concluding. Well, actually, we can, no, we have to say this under here, so are concluding. Our the action item is to have a we'll have a work session with you to, all right, so say Patrick and I are concluding our finance committee meeting. Our key action item is to have a work session with you to go over our financial reporting questions and observations. We think this work session is critical to,
Do we want to say develop finance?
developing the town's financial reporting policy.
Yeah.
And to prepare the select board for year-end,
Shenanigans?
no, sorry, for year-end reporting
Yeah,
and, you know, for year-end reporting,
yeah, that's,
period.
Yeah.
Okay, for fiscal year-end reporting. For fiscal year-end reporting, okay. We are proposing that we meet with you in a 2-hour session on Wednesday, May 29th, 2024, in the afternoon.
Mhm.
Say, are you available? Do you want to say?
Yeah.
Well, she leaves at 3, so we could say, are you available 1 to 3?
Sure.
Available either from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. or from, I'm gonna say noon to 2 p.m. How's that?
That's fine. If she wants to do later,
Yep,
then we can do later.
yeah. It's like, if you want to meet after 3 p.m., we are also available. Just let us know what works for your schedule. Done, okay?
Mhm. Good.
That ought to do it. So that's to town, that's to you. All right, so that's the whole thing. We hit send. Off it goes. Okay, done.
Great.
All right, so I better put that in my calendar so I don't send myself someplace plus. Work session.
Just,
And we're gonna have to warn that meeting whenever that happens, but I can probably do that.
yeah, I'm just gonna put a hold for the afternoon.
I'm just gonna put it from noon to, I'm gonna put it from noon to 3, just as a hold.
Wait, that's the 29th, right?
I put
Not
it
the
as,
30th.
I put it as Thursday, the 29th.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Is it Thursday?
No, Thursday, Wednesday.
Wednesday, the
20th.
29th.
There you go. Good. Okay.
All right.
Okay, other business. We have, continuation of the finance committee.
Right. I think we need it.
I
It's a
know we
lot.
need it. I wonder, does it? I mean, do we just say we just continue?
We
I
just
mean-
continue. I think, yeah, I think, because I think we just make a motion that given, I don't know what the wording ought to be, but I think it's,
You mean in the next select board meeting, we make this motion, or
do we need to make,
I don't think we need to make a
no,
motion
I think
here.
we need it. I think we just have to say, you know, this is,
I
this
think
is,
this was Edie who said, what's happening with the finance committee, and. do
and
we
what did she need
to-
us to do though?
I think we should, it's probably
Because
just
we
good
need to be reappointed,
practice,
we need to be reappointed, right? We have,
maybe,
I think we just need to be reappointed. I think that's really the issue. Like, we reappointed Paul
yeah,
yesterday or day before yesterday. So I think we just need to be reappointed.
Okay,
And we need to and I don't know if we need to reconstitute ourselves, because I think we're just kind of an extension of our prior appointment.
yeah, okay,
Because I think it was gonna be an annual appointment. I think that's what it says in our little
in our
charter.
charter,
I think it's an
Okay.
annual appointment.
okay. Good,
I think that's all we need to do.
all right, and no visitors to hear from. So shall we adjourn?
I will move to we adjourn. I can do that.
Okay, well, and I second it and third it and approve it, and
All right.
we're considered adjourned
Move
at
adjourn. Say aye,
50. Aye.
2:51, and let's get recording stopped. See,
Okay.
we are.
Mhm.
I can't put some glasses.
Oh, here, I
Oh,
can
can you see it?
I can do it.
Okay.
Stop recording.